In the town of Blackthorn, there was only one rule that truly mattered. Never, ever enter a house unless you are explicitly invited inside. No one knew where the rule came from. It was just a fact of life, a piece of ancient wisdom passed down through generations, taught with the same gravity as not playing with fire or wandering into the deep woods after dark. It was older than the town church, older than the very road that cut Blackthorn in two. The rule simply was. So, when Elias Mercer arrived one evening, just as the sun bled out behind the hills, he was soaked from a sudden downpour and exhausted from his long journey. He trudged into the local inn, dripping water onto the worn floorboards, and laughed when the innkeeper, a man with fear etched deep into the lines of his face, recited the town's solemn warning. "Superstitions," Elias scoffed, shaking his heavy coat. "Friend, I'm not looking for trouble. I just need a warm bed for the night. Anything will do." But the inn was full. Every room, every cot, every spare corner was taken. Disappointed, Elias stepped back out into the dreary twilight and began knocking on doors. But a strange thing happened. At every house he approached, the warm glow of lamplight was abruptly extinguished. He heard the distinct sound of bolts sliding shut, of whispers fading into an unnerving silence. It was as if the entire town was holding its breath, waiting for him to pass. Fear, he realized, was a physical presence here. It lived in the very mortar of the buildings. Frustrated and cold, he walked until he reached the edge of town. There, set back from the road, stood a solitary house. Unlike the others, its windows glowed with a warm, inviting light. It looked alive, a beacon of hope in the oppressive gloom. Elias hesitated for only a second, his desperation overriding his unease. He walked up the path and knocked firmly on the heavy oak door. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a slow, deliberate creak, the door swung inward on its own. The air that drifted out was thick with the scent of old, dried roses and something else, something metallic and sharp, like iron. Inside, a fire crackled merrily in a large stone hearth, casting dancing shadows across the room. A dining table was meticulously set for two, complete with polished plates and gleaming wine glasses, both still empty. "Hello," Elias called out, his voice sounding small in the cavernous space. "Is anyone home?" The only reply was the crackle of the fire. He took a cautious step forward, drawn by the promise of warmth and shelter. He stepped across the threshold. Behind him, the door clicked shut, with a soft, chilling finality. The sound seemed to echo in the sudden silence, and then a voice emerged from the deepest shadows of the room, a voice that was smooth and gentle, yet laced with an ancient hunger. "Thank you," it whispered, and it sounded like it was smiling. "It has been so very long since anyone forgot to ask." From the darkness, a tall figure stepped into the firelight. Its skin was pale as bone china, and its eyes were dark, bottomless pits that seemed to drink the light from the room. It didn't rush. It didn't snarl or show its fangs. It simply stood there, radiating an aura of immense patience and power. Panic seized Elias. He scrambled backward, his hands fumbling for the doorknob. He twisted and pulled, but it wouldn't budge. It was as if the door had been sealed into the frame. "You see," the pale figure continued, its voice a calm, conversational purr as it took a slow step forward. "The old rules are quite specific. I cannot cross a threshold uninvited. It's a bothersome limitation." A thin, cruel smile curved its lips. "But humans, you are so eager for comfort, so quick to ignore your instincts. You invite yourselves in so easily." As it finished speaking, the fire in the hearth sputtered and died in an instant, plunging the room into absolute darkness. And the people of Blackthorn quietly added the name Elias Mercer to the long, whispered list of travelers who had come to their town, but had never left. That night, as dusk settled over the valley, a single light flickered to life in an upstairs window of the old house. It burned brightly, a warm and welcoming beacon, patiently waiting for the next tired traveler, the next knock on the door. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy a good scare, be sure to subscribe for more tales from the shadows.